Yeah, man. All right. I'm Jimmy Church, and I'm a radio and television host, and do some films and some producing and some acting and things like that. I'm the late night radio guy doing UFOs and conspiracy, but I also love guitar. And I was a guitar player on the Sunset Strip back in the day, and I've never let guitar escape me. This is my radio studio here. This is where I broadcast from each night, and I surround myself with all things six string. And this is what I ended up doing. I got a lot of guitars, and I saw a Fender Squire mini Strat for sale, a limited edition in vintage white. That's a couple of years ago, and I saw it, and I thought, man, that'll look cool on the wall next to that right here, right? That's a Fender American. But anyway, so I bought the guitar and put it on the wall. And here's the thing with that idea. Do you play the guitar? Or is it just an art piece? Is it just going to hang there? And it stared at me for a couple of years. And I don't think I ever really played the guitar. But I have a few mini guitars that I bought. When I see a mini with a maple neck on it and it's a bolt-on, I usually just, have to have it. But there's problems with every mini guitar. First off, they have a reputation of not playing in tune and inferior pickups and electronics and bad wood and all of that. Well, most of that is deserved. Okay, it is. The Fender Squire Mini you can buy right now for $199. And they come with hardtails, Indonesian, Chinese parts on them, pickups, tuning machines. The fretwork is crazy and will tend to cut you. Well, it's the same thing with the Squire Minis and anything else. So I thought, but wait a minute, wood is wood. And every guitar that I have, every one, I purchase it and I put it on the bench. I fret jobs, the sides of the neck, the nuts, everything gets shimmed, it gets a shim in it. I modify everything. Like that guitar right there, that's a Kramer Voyager. And when I got that guitar, it had a painted headstock. Perfect guitar. JB's in it and everything else, bolt on, shim the neck. But it had a painted headstock. First thing I did when I got the guitar back, I sanded the headstock down to wood because I wanted that. And it's my guitar. I can do with it what I want. I'm not going to sell it. And it was the same consideration with this guitar here. It's a Fender Squire, but I own it. I can do whatever I want to it. So I looked at the guitar and I thought to myself, as it's hanging next to that, it needs a Trem. And is that a possible thing to do? And do you want to sink that kind of money into a $199 guitar? And that's when the challenge started. Is it possible to take a $199 Squire Mini Strat, nothing holding back on parts, put the best of the best on it, and is it going to play like a $1,000, $2,000 Fender Strat? Well, the question's been answered. The answer is yes. And I have no affiliation to Fender. I paid for all of this myself, all the parts, the labor, the building, and came up with the idea. And as you can see here, right there, it doesn't say Squire anymore. I stripped the headstock down. I put a Fender Strat decal on it because I could, because I own this. I'm not going to resell it. I'm not misrepresenting this guitar. I'm not going to sell this to somebody and say, hey, this is a $5,000 custom shop Fender. No, it's a Squire. So, yeah, that's the question. Can a Fender Squire Mini Strat eventually sound great? Well, let's find out. This is what we did to the guitar. A Fender Squire Strat comes stock with a hardtail. This is a hardtail right here. This is Ibanez Paul Gilbert Mini Maple Neck. Again, this is, I don't know, $100. And but you can see right there, hardtail, no routing, hardtail. I bought this. Why? Well, it's a Paul Gilbert. It's a mini, and it had a maple neck. So I bought it. Thing does not stay in tune. If there is one thing that any guitar manufacturer who's listening to me right now would learn something, and it's this: put locking tuners on these guitars. Do that. It would help things so much. Number one. Number two, the person buying this guitar, probably a parent for their child, that beginning guitar player with those little hands is going to play a guitar that's going to stay in tune. And maybe they'll love the guitar more. Maybe they'll want to buy another one from you. So locking tuners. And that's the beginning. So here's the guitar when I first took it to Pat Wilkins' shop. Pat paints and builds many guitars for me, and I've known him for almost 40 years. And he's one of the best in the business. And I called up Pat and I said, hey, I got this idea, and I've got this Fender Squire Mini Strat that's a limited edition that's painted vintage white, and I want to put a Trem on it. Pat's like, can't do it. I said, yeah, we can. I don't know, man. It's tension, it's tuning. I said, Pat, we're not going to know unless we try. And I need to take you outside of your box, outside of your comfort zone. You're the best. Let's see. If anybody can do it, it's you. So here's the guitar. Brought it to his shop 3 months ago. All right, so Pat, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's good to see you. That's the back of Jonathan Hayes. He doesn't want to be on camera because the IRS is after him.
They're after me constantly.
So this is what we're doing. This is the project. Pat and Jonathan have agreed to damage this. And so this is what we're going to do. This is a Fender Squire limited edition Olympic white mini Strat. And so this is what we're going to do. Right now, this is in its original case. I mean, this is it in original conditions, brand new. Don't scratch it, Pat.
Okay, I'll be careful.
All right, don't scratch it. So it's brand new, and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put a tremolo in this. This is a hardtail. This is coming out. Pat's gonna put a vintage. He's gonna route the back, right?
That's right.
We're gonna put Ingve pickups in here from Seymour Duncan. We're gonna change out the dime pots and put some CTSs in. We're gonna put in a real Fender 5-way. This is probably, we haven't opened it up yet. This is probably some, cheap Chinese thing. Pat doesn't know this yet, but I thought about this. I think I want to go 6100s.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, this is...
Why not?
We're going for it, right? So we're gonna go with some really nice 6100 Fretwire. We're gonna pull this out. We're gonna put in a new nut.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. With the tension that we're going to get with the tremolo, the way it is, it might not hurt to put locking gears in there.
Okay. I can't wait to get the 61. The 6100 frets are going to be bigger than the guitar itself.
Yeah.
In the end. So that's it. That's the condition of this. Is it. Take a good look And then when we're done, we'll have a few other surprises too. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Same
Jonathan,
Thanks, Jimmy.
you the man.
You're the
Thank you
man.
guys so much. And I'm out. And that's it. Challenge accepted. And 3 months later, I got this picture on my phone, and Pat said the guitar's done, and the excitement, right? So I picked up the guitar last week. So here's what we did. Let's start with the main thing. We had to route the guitar for a trem. This is a Fender vintage trem, and we had to route the guitar. So you can see it here. Nice routing job. It's clean. But the first problem that we encountered, you can see this is a brass block that is in here. These bodies are thinner than a stock Strat. So the block stuck out. That's not good. So we had to modify a block, and we went with a brass block and had to modify that. Got it to sit in there, and it's obviously clear of the body. Plus, I wanted this to float. This is a floating trem, and it's got to float. I didn't want it blocked out. And you can also see that I'm running 3 springs. Plenty of tension on this guitar. There's no issues with tension or tuning, and it plays like a regular guitar, regular scale length. A little bit softer in that you can bend the strings all over the place. We'll get to that in a bit. When you want to go to Bend Town, this is the guitar you're going to do it with. So that was the first thing. We had to route the guitar for the trem. I wanted a 6-hole vintage trem. I wanted to have the absolute, I like the vintage trems, and I wanted it to look just like this guitar that's over my shoulder. So that was the first step. Second step was the Seymour Duncan YJM Fury Yngwie Malmsteen pickups, which I also have in that guitar right there. And in all of my single coil Strats, there might be another one here behind me, Seymour Duncans, and that, the SRV that you see up there, that's got YJMs in it as well. Change out the pickup covers and things. Anyway, so Seymour Duncan YJMs, CTS pots, new Fender American switch, and then moving up, the next thing that I wanted done to this guitar, if we're going to do all of this work to it, was the frets got to go. And I prefer, don't have it on every guitar, but most of my guitars have Dunlop 6100 stainless steel Fretwire. Most of the guitars in here are 6100 jumbo frets and Dunlops. Some aren't, but I get them as big as I can. But when I have a guitar custom built, or if there's an issue or the frets are too small when I first get the guitar, that's it. I refret it and 6100s go in. And I've been doing 6100 frets since I met Neil Moser in like 1984. And he started doing my fret work. So anyway, Dunlop 6100 stainless steel Fretwire. The frets cost more than the entire guitar. The pickups cost more than the entire guitar. The locking tuners cost more than the entire guitar. I know it's crazy, but I just wanted it done this way. So moving up the neck, I wanted Fender's best locking tuners, and that's what is here that you can see, but also needed to change out the nut, and I got the best that I could get, which is Graph Tech. So that is a Graph Tech nut. Placed and cut by Pat Wilkins, and then I had the headstock stripped. So the stock headstock looks like this. I'll show it to you here. It says Fender, or it says Squire by Fender or whatever, Stratocaster. I had that pulled off, and a stock Fender Strat spaghetti decal put on. Now, a little comment about changing out the logos. Here's the deal with that. I own this guitar. I'm not going to resell it. I was not hesitant at all about swapping out the decal and doing it because this is mine, right? And this was always meant to be the baby version of that guitar, right? Okay, and I wanted this look right here. I wanted that look. Okay, so that was done, and when I called Fender last week and sent them over pictures of the guitar, I could hear the reaction. It was muted. It wasn't too rowdy, but I'm not selling this guitar and I'm not representing it for something that it's not. This is my mini Strat that I had built. It's really that simple. So now here's the thing. When the guitar finally came back to me, I immediately put everything on the bench. Now Pat did an excellent fret job, and there was no issues with that. But I shim every guitar that I have. I shim. If it's a bolt-on, I shim it. That's been shimmed. That's been shimmed. That's been shimmed. That's been shimmed. That's shimmed. That have been shimmed. That's been shimmed. This has been shimmed. That's been shimmed. Even this Jackson, both of these Jacksons behind me have been shimmed. The EVHs down there shimmed. The ESPs down there shimmed. The Gems, Ibanez, shimmed. I shim everything. What is a shim? A shim, I don't have one with me. They're over on the bench. It's a thin piece of wood or plastic, preferably with a degree of an angle to it. In this case, it's a 1 degree that is in here. And that tilts the neck. So you can see here that this neck is slightly tilted. You can see how the pickups go from high to low. And I've got this set up to float, which raises the bridge up a little bit. So I need this shimmed. And I also like the pickup to be more in the palm of my hand. I don't like it flat. I don't like this whole thing flat. I like that angle. And I like this raised out a little bit so I can put my hand there. That is all done with a shim. So I brought the guitar back. I've shimmed it. And you can see it right here. There's a shim in there. And got that going. Immediately, that changes the action and everything else. And Pat had this to stop instead of float. So I adjusted that. I almost pulled out a spring, but I stayed with 3. A lot of my guitars, I just have 2 springs. This one, I kept it in because it's fine and it's comfortable. But once that was done, I had to reset the action and get it all going. But because Pat is such an excellent fret person, I mean, his fret work is just incredible. The neck is just perfect. And it was an easy setup. And I did a quick little polish. He had already polished it, but I have to do my little touch to it. So I did that, slapped the neck back on, put everything back together, and it is exactly as you see it now. I've only had the guitar for a few days, and I decided to make this video straight out to show everybody. So here's the thing. Wood is wood. And the questions are out there, and I get that, about Indonesian or Mexican built Strats and Fenders and guitars. And are they different? Are they inferior? Are they the same? Is there any difference between an American Strat and a Mexican built Strat? What's the deal with Indonesia and who's building it and where's the quality? I get all of that. And I don't think about it. I have a lot of guitars here that were made in Mexico. That's Mexican right there. That's made in Mexico. And that's a Charvel. The EVHs that I have down at the end of the studio, those are all made in Mexico. This purple Strat that I have behind me, this one right here, that's a 30-year-old, 1995. How old is that? Mexican Strat. That's probably the best neck that I have in this studio. And I think that question is answered, because once we put the 6100s in here and slapped it together, this neck is as wonderful as anything you'll ever play. And it's a $199 guitar. So can you do it? What I would say this: if you want to have a fun little project, go and get one of these for $199. Start out with locking tuners. If you're going to go this route, and literally this route, and put in a trem, take it to somebody qualified like Pat Wilkins that knows what they're doing, because that's got to be done perfectly and in the right spot and the right depth and all of those things. But you could, if you want to keep it a hardtail, you want it to play in tune, just get locking tuners. You can swap out the pickups, put in new pots, and if you're really adventurous over time, slap in some new frets like I did, and put in a new nut. All of these things are challenging, but you can get it done. And in the end, you'll have one of these. This guitar is perfect. It's perfect. And it's 2 feet long. And you know what? When you want to go to Bentown, you can do it. It's like perfect. I'm Jimmy Church. I'm the host of Fade to Black, and you can check out everything if you go to jimmychurchradio.com, and you can listen to the show. You can also check out my latest movies and TV stuff that I'm doing. Everything is over at jimmychurchradio.com, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You can go and follow, like, and subscribe, and check it out. On the show every night, I talk about UFOs, but I talk about entertainment and movies and food and music and guitars and all things conspiracy. I do whatever I find my bliss with. And each night, it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of musicians on the show. I'll say this before I go. Musicians are into the paranormal. You need to really think about that. Every musician has got a ghost or UFO story. Love to get them on the Fade to Black and talk about it. So, anyway, head over to the website, jimmychurchradio.com, and I'll see you out there.